is a color bar calibration for case number A85-436535. The date is 12/2/85 in the town of New Milford, Connecticut. Following scene concerns that of a white male found dead in his home.
A murder in 1985 changes the trajectory of two teens' lives forever. I met with one of the men, who was wrongfully put in prison for most of his life. It's his first sit-down interview.
Hey, how you doing?
Well.
Thanks.
Since his release.
Well, thanks for doing this.
Sure.
Are you angry every day?
They took a lot of my life from me, and I can't sit and dwell on it.
30 years later, evidence used to convict friends Ricky Birch and Sean Henning is thrown out by a judge. The state agrees to a $25.2 million settlement for their wrongful incarcerations.
It's not about the money, it really isn't. It's about I can't have a family. It's the possibilities that they took.
Ricky Birch's co-defendant, Sean Henning, agreed to speak with us only by phone.
What these guys did is brutal, and it's ugly, and it's unforgivable.
At the heart of the case, a violent murder in New Milford.
And the upper head portion of the victim may now be noted in the screen.
65-year-old Everett Carr's lifeless body is found lying in a hallway in his own pool of blood. Blood is smeared on the walls around him. Carr stabbed about 27 times, his jugular vein severed, his head beaten in. A soon-to-be world-famous forensic expert helps process the crime scene.
We work whole night until next day.
Detectives never find blood on Birch and Henning, their clothes, or in their stolen car they were living out of. Lee argues that whoever murdered Carr may not have gotten blood on their clothing. He determines this through blood pattern analysis, according to his testimony in court.
Well, how is that then if there's blood tracked all through the house? Admitted that they didn't have enough against us even for probable cause. But yet, when the victim's family was down their throat about making an arrest, they arrested us anyway.
The victim's family called me every night, harassed me. That much evidence, you did not find anything? I say, hey, Mrs. Carr, nothing I can do. I did not find anything.
The other thing I know you've said is that these forensic scientists get a lot of pressure. I know Henry Lee's talked to me about the pressure he had on the Everett Carr case, in fact.
Yeah, I mean, this happens all the time, and that particularly, again, we're talking about subjective opinions.
They sentenced me to 55 years.
What was your reaction when you heard that?
Shock, like just disbelief.
Did you kill Everett Carr?
Absolutely not. Didn't even know Everett Carr, never been to his house.
The two friends are committing burglaries in the area around the time of the murder.
Our biggest downfall was that we were in trouble, we were doing bad, we were stealing stuff.
So when police believe Carr's death is a burglary gone bad, detectives zero in on Birch and Henning as suspects.
There was no winning. They had made up their mind right from the get.
Both men spend most of their adult lives behind bars, fighting for their innocence.
The Connecticut Innocence Project began looking at the case back in 2006. Their director tells NBC Connecticut they believe Birch and Henning are innocent of the charges, and Dr. Lee's testimony is largely responsible for the convictions.
Ricky's home. That's all I want to say. Ricky's home.
It isn't until 2019, 3 decades later, that both Birch and Henning's convictions are overturned with the help of the Connecticut Innocence Project.
They've fought for me for a long time, and I'm very grateful. I'm sorry, I'm a little choked up.
We were there for Birch's emotional release from prison.
I just know that it's a really good feeling, and I'm happy, and I'm home finally.
New trials are ordered for both men, but the state's attorney declines to prosecute, agreeing that many pieces of evidence are flawed.
Is what appears to be a footwear impression of that reddish substance.
Cops find $1,000 in cash at the crime scene, which defense lawyers say could have disproved the burglary theory. And there are questions about whether this evidence was disclosed to the defense before the original trial. Carr's daughter does not immediately call police for help when she finds her dad's dead body. Plus, jailhouse informants later retract their statements that Birch and Henning are to blame for Carr's murder. But the big headline: a state Supreme Court judge rules that forensic scientist Dr. Henry Lee gave incorrect testimony during their trials. And subsequently, a higher court decides the state could be sued because Lee fabricated evidence. During Birch and Henning's trials, state prosecutors say this towel is evidence the teens cleaned themselves up after the crime. A key element in their conviction: testimony by Dr. Lee that a stain found on a towel in Carr's home was blood. Decades later, it's been revealed that that towel was never tested in a state crime lab. The substance on it was not blood.
I want to correct the record. I did the test. Spray chemical upstairs, one of the towel and the sink have some reaction.
Lee tells us he testified at their trials that he did a presumptive test for blood. That's only considered a preliminary assessment. But in 1989, according to court transcripts, Lee testifies in court during Birch's trial that the towel in Carr's bathroom had a reddish smear. He continues to say, subsequently, that smear was identified to be blood.
The judge said, you said in court that you tested it, but there was no photograph, no ticket to show it, and so it was your word
against their word. The problem, 38 years ago, they don't have a file anymore.
In 2008, new DNA tests reveal there is no blood on the towel.
But there's no doubt that the finding by the Supreme Court was that the testing had not actually occurred on the towel.
Are you angry with Dr. Henry Lee?
I'm angry, but I just can't dwell on it, you know? I can't dwell on it. He's gonna have to live with what he did, that's all.
What would you say to them now? What would, if you could, if it wasn't me sitting here, but it was Henning and Birch, what would you say to them?
I'm not the one decide they're guilty or not. I'm the one, not the one, arrest them or charge them.
Lee claims that his testimony that the victim's blood was not found on the clothing of suspects Henning and Birch should have helped the men's case.
So let me show you this here.
And in that vein, I mean, you know, Birch and Henning both said they lost their adult life in part because of you. Now, you ask them, this was in record. They even say, thank me. Because you exonerated them.
I exonerated them. I'm the one exonerated them.
Really?
Exonerated you.
Yeah.
Do you believe that?
There is absolutely no part he played in our exoneration other than he was the one who fabricated evidence that later became the basis, part of the basis for our exoneration.
While the state settled with Birch and Henning, a lawsuit against the New Milford detectives who worked on the case is ongoing. They deny any wrongdoing.
I don't know if I should name people, but there's some people that are very, very culpable. And there's others that are a little less culpable, but still did some foul. But Dr. Lee isn't the one that I think is the most to blame, I'll tell you that.
Henning says he and Birch are victims of our criminal justice system.
I am a poster boy for innocent people, so this will never go away for me. This cannot go away for me. I don't have a choice. I have to speak out for what these people did to us.
What there should be is accountability. I just want all the guilty parties to do 30 days. I'll have 31 days. Take 31 days out of your life with your family. Eating bag-o meals and having the constant threat of violence around you. Just for 31 days. See how well they do.
I can't thank you enough. Thank you.
So I stand behind my testimony.
Weinberg walked out of this Waterbury courthouse a free man after serving 26 years in prison.
Let's just say you did make a mistake in all these.
We cannot assume.